Hello everyone, before we start, please turn on your camera. Hello, so I see several faces here. Rafsi, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Welcome everyone. I hope you all have a good day. My name is Lau, part of UNHAS MUN community and FPCI chapter UNHAS. Will be acting as your master of ceremony for this afternoon. It is our pleasure to have all of you gathered here and for allocating your time, especially on this weekend, to attend Cognition Supercharge, a collaborative event hosted by UNHAS MUN community and FPCI chapter UNHAS. For the MUN seminar, which will be begin shortly, we have Rafsi Azzam and Kak Dominique Virgil in the room with us. And later tonight, we have Kak Kania as our speaker in public discussion. We would like to thank our community partners, 17 English Debating Society, Smada English Conversation Club, SMANSA English Conversation Club, EFC SMANSA Maros, Universitas Brawijaya MUN Club, Himpunan Hubungan Masyarakat Unpad, FPCI Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, EFPCI UPN Veteran Jakarta, UNHAS Career Women, Makkunrai Project, FPCI Binus, and Universitas Gajah Mada Asean Society for the contribution to this event. But before we proceed to the main agenda, let's hear several remarks from our respective hosts. I will give the screen to the first in order, the Secretary General of UNHAS MUN Community, Ms. Adis Dwi Makvira. Please have the floor.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kak Lau. Good afternoon, everyone. So let me introduce myself. I am Adis Dwi Makvira, or usually people call me Vira. And on behalf of UNHAS MUN Community Board 2020-2021, I would like to welcome all of you guys, even though it is virtually, but to Makassar. Both of our organizing committee from FPCI and also UNHAS MUN community is formed by students of Hasanuddin University. So I would like to welcome all of you guys, even though it is virtually, to Makassar and to interact with more of Makassar people if you haven't do so before. And also, I would like to thank all of the organizing committee, and it's such a pleasure for me as a part of both the organization, how two organizations who that have similar objectives, and we can collaborate to make this a very fruitful event throughout the day until this night with Kak Kania, and also this afternoon. Fortunately, Kak Dom and Kak Rafsi can join with us to talk about Model United Nations. Maybe without further ado, I just want to say thank you for all of the participants and community partner. Let's have a blast today. Let's enjoy the whole session, and let's learn a lot from this very renowned speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech. Now, the second remark is from the President of FPCI Chapter Universitas Hasanuddin, Ms. Anissa Apriliani. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lau. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia, Chapter Universitas Hasanuddin, it is always within our pleasure to welcome you to the Cognition Supercharge. This program, Cognition Supercharge, is a collaboration between FPCI Chapter UNHAS and also UNHAS MUN community, which aims to amplify the spirit of internationalism towards youth in Indonesia, especially in Eastern Indonesia. Both UNHAS MUN community and FPCI Chapter UNHAS is the biggest chapters within, well, UNHAS MUN community is the biggest MUN communities in Eastern Indonesia, and for FPCI chapter UNHAS, we are currently the only chapter in Eastern Indonesia. So we believe that it is within our responsibility to proliferate and amplify the spirit of internationalism, and still making it relevant to the grassroots levels. That's why we think that it's very important for us to have this kind of discussion, to discuss about first thing first on how MUN can impact your academic career, your professional career, and what is actually the benefits that you can gain from your MUN experience. We have it is within our utmost gratitude to have Rafsi and Dominique as our speakers for today. Well, if you guys haven't really know them yet, I believe that you'll have to you will have to check these guys out, because well, they are very renowned in the MUN communities. And also later tonight we will have Kania with us to talk about one of the most pressing issues in international realm, but it is still relevant for our domestic foreign affairs, really, because we're going to talk about how the role of women is going to impact the future and how it is in the current status quo right now. So yeah, once again, I would like to just welcome everyone. We have several audiences from several and various communities from Makassar and even outside Sulawesi, I believe. And we're really grateful to have this opportunity to help provide you with these insightful discussions. We would also like to thank all the organizing communities that have supported our project. And yeah, let's have a blast, I guess. Grab your snack, prepare your notes if you want to take a note. But best believe that you guys will enjoy the most joyful experience in this discussion on this Saturday. Yeah, so we're going to spend our Saturday day and night together, but I hope that it will be fun for everyone. Thank you very much. I give the floor back to Lau.
Thank you very much for your speech, Anissa. The last remark, but certainly not the least, let me acknowledge the faculty's advisor of UNHAS MUN and FPCI UNHAS to give the remarks. For Mr. Asri Salatu, the screen is yours. We're so sorry. There is technical issue. We'll get back to you right after this.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Asri Salatu. I am one of the UNHAS MUN's faculty advisors. First, I would like to say that I feel proud of the high level of enthusiasm that makes the management of UNHAS MUN extraordinary. This is demonstrated by a number of activities that have been carried out so far, despite the fact that they have limited mobility due to the pandemic. But their creativity is always on the rise. And this afternoon, I am honored to deliver a speech at this special event. I would like to express my gratitude to all the speakers for taking the time to speak with us today. I know from the speakers' short biographies that they are amazing personalities. They undeniably possess the knowledge and talents that we require as students or as individuals who are constantly monitoring global dynamics. This event will definitely have a broader impact as it is supported by many partner institutions. And on behalf of UNHAS MUN and FPCI UNHAS, I thank you all for that. And about UNHAS MUN, it's a relatively new organization founded in 2010. And for the FPCI, UNHAS was reactivated after a long break. However, I am optimistic that with enthusiasm, creativity, and the concern, all of those will make UNHAS MUN and FPCI UNHAS the most comprehensive place for students to develop. And to those who want to add and improve their diplomacy and negotiating skills, do not refrain yourself in experiencing the biggest MUN in eastern of Indonesia, the Makassar MUN. It will be held in 8 to 11 of April. And finally, I would like to congratulate all participants on attending this event and having a good time. You have planned a perfect Saturday night activity for your weekend. I want you to always remember to have fun because creativity is intelligence having fun. Thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Asri Salatu. Now that we have heard all the remarks, we'll then move on to today's MUN seminar. All right. For those of you who are curious and interested in joining MUN, but still unfamiliar with the floor or the procedure, worry not, because the first session will get that covered. Please pay attention throughout the seminar because there will be a quiz with interesting prize at the end. The first session will be carried out by Mr. Rafsi Azzam with remarkable achievements in MUN, such as diplomatic commendation at Harvard MUN 2019, and also the founder and president of Aspiratif.id. Hi, Rafsi. Are you here with us?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Okay, so without further ado, I would like to call upon Mr. Rafsi to deliver the presentation about MUN 101. You may have the floor now.
All right. By the way, I've requested for the organizing committee to help me in presenting the slides. All right. Oops, this is the last page. Can you start from the beginning? All right. Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. I'm really glad that I can be invited to this event. Thank you, everyone, especially the committee members. I've seen familiar faces here. Some of them are my friends. Yeah. So today I'll be sharing a bit about Model UN, especially Model UN in general, what you need to know when it comes to MUN, really. So if I may say, this is like MUN 101 that you'll be having before a conference. before the actual committee sessions. Every conference will have this, but this is just like a short introduction for those of you who are wondering about MUN, what it really is, and some of the tips that I'll be giving away. Yeah, a little bit of myself. I don't input the slides here, I think, about myself. I do MUN. I did MUN. I think by the end of 2017 to the midst of 2019. Yeah, those were the times that I do MUN. And yeah, as mentioned, I've attended several MUNs and won several of them, and also chaired others. So yeah, I think this has been some of the key takeaways that I've had from the MUN experience along those times. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is MUN? So MUN in reality is basically the academic simulation of the UN, which actually aims to hone the soft skills of students. So usually MUNers are students, and through MUN, especially me personally, I have learned the following. So the first one being research, right? So research is something that you do before MUN. So you need to find the information regarding a specific country or a topic that might require a great amount of persistence. So what it means is that when you do research, you don't just do something that you can find on the news, but you need to find things deeper than those news. You need to find the right, you need to find just enough sources for you to find the right data. So research is not that simple. Sometimes I think I can speak for most MUNers. They have like multiple windows and multiple tabs in each windows for MUN research alone. So yeah, this is something that you're going to be doing very often in MUN. Second being critical thinking. So after you find the research, you find the sources, you need to think critically. How do you think, how do you package those information, or how do you process those information to create something new? For example, you need to create a solution in MUN. So when it comes to making solutions, you need to think critically, what is the problem from those resources that you've collected, and then you need to package it into solutions that you're going to make. Next is writing. Of course, when you do MUN, you must make a position paper, right? Position paper is a document that I'll explain later. It's actually something that you're going to make before the conference. During the conference, you're also going to make two more documents. The first one being working paper, and the second one being draft resolution. I'll explain this later. Public speaking, of course, MUN, you're acting as a quote-unquote diplomat of a country. So you need to speak in front of the international forum, so to say. So making speeches is just a part of being a diplomat. You'll speak in front of many people, and then it's just you getting used to it. That's really something you do at MUN. Fifth is diplomacy. So diplomacy, the difference between diplomacy and teamwork here is that diplomacy is how you convince others, is how you create this sort of image between those countries and personalities, work with them to create a good solution. So it's not only about you convincing those people. When it comes to teamwork, it's also working with them. Working with them means that you want to cooperate with them, to coordinate with them, to create something out of that diplomacy. So diplomacy is the art of you convincing them, but teamwork is how when you convince those people, you can work with those people to create something. That's really the thing that you do in MUN. So these 6 are the things you do in MUN from in sequential order. Yep, next, please. Right, so this is the typical MUN journey that you're going to have. So first you start from the research, right? So you find the information on the topic. And then after you've had those research, you're going to create a position paper. So you put those research into writing format with the addition of solutions that you're going to propose initially. Then you go into initial debate. So initial debate is already in the council. So when it comes to the council, the initial debate will actually kick off the council with the general speakers list. I'll also explain this later. And the first moderated caucuses. So this is just to start the council with discussing the things that needs to be discussed in the beginning. And then when the initial debate has been formed, done, we go to block formation. Block formation is really countries. As we all know, countries in the world, they don't just align themselves together. Some countries agree with others and some countries disagree with others, right? So block formation is really you form like these small groups within countries or big groups during those unmoderated caucus or informal sessions. So these are the times when block actually get formed. And fifth is drafting. So drafting is really when you work into making working paper and draft resolution. So it's really you creating those legal documents or those documents that you're going to create, those formal documents, in order to solve this problem that you're assigned to. And finally, after you've had those drafts, the debates will continue, but it's going to be like a very brief debate compared to other parts of the committee sessions. So it's really just debate surrounding the substance of the document. So it's really just about, let's say, fixing this document or choosing which document is better than the other. I think this is actually the most fun part, because this is where those solutions are really clashed, right, between blocks, especially those of contriving backgrounds. Okay, next. Right. So these are the documents that you'll be seeing at MUN. So before and during the MUN, these documents are written individually or collectively by the DICE or the committee members together with the committee members, or the delegate. So the ones in the left are ones not for you to actually be concerned about. Those are the things you read, and the ones on the right are the things you create, the things you write. So the ones on the left is really rules of procedure. So what I'll be doing here after this is going to explain a bit of the rules of procedure. I mean, one is basically that. So yeah, the sets of rules that you'll be having to follow in MUN. Guidebook is really a document outlining the technical aspects of the conference. So it's really just about accommodation, foods, the rundown. It's really just technical stuff that is not pertaining to the committee session itself. And study guide. Now, study guide, this is the most important part of the document that you need to read, which is it is actually a starting document. So it's actually a document that you can use to establish your initial research. So usually the chairs will create this study guide. So in this study guide, what the chairs will do is that they will be giving you all the information in general that you can start to use as a kickoff for your research. So usually they will establish like questions that a solution must answer. That part is usually the part that can actually guide you to what kind of work or what kind of research you should be making. That is actually what the study guides are usually for. At least that's what I use study guides for. So the study guide really is, other than giving you the initial information, it really gives you an idea of what the chairs are looking for or what the council is aiming to do. That's really the function of a study guide. Next is the documents that you as a delegate will be preparing. So there are three documents that you'll be preparing. One of them being you doing it yourself, and the last two being you doing it with other delegates. Or if you are just this outlier country, then yeah, the last two you will do it on your own as well. But yeah, in most cases you'll be doing the last two together with other countries. So position paper, it's really a 1 or 2 page document, usually 1.5 document outlining your country's position and solution. So what it means is that your position paper should be informative of how your research can be compiled into your position, your country's position, as well as your solution. I'll be going deep dive into that after this. Working paper is basically collective document made by delegates consisting of solutions. Some people in MUN, they like to call this like a compiled version of working paper of position papers, although I will a little bit disagree with that, because working paper is really just the solutions. It doesn't really need working paper and the first solution. It doesn't really need those parts of some parts of the position paper. So it's and also just to give you an idea that some position papers, they might have like the same, or just they might have the same types of solutions, and you don't have to necessarily put all those solutions by all those people into the working paper and the first solution. I mean, it's just redundant, right? You don't have to put like 2 clauses for, let's say, food security, logistics, whatever that is. You don't have to make 2 clauses for the same thing, right? For example, if the topic is that general, if that consensual, yeah, you don't have to put like 2 same clauses at the same time, right? So I would like to disagree a bit with that. And draft resolution is basically the more formal version of working paper. So more formal version here, as in there will be rules that you need to be following for you to write a proper draft resolution, and I'll explain that also later. Continue, please. Next slide. Next slide. Is this just my screen bugging? All right. Next slide. Yeah. Right. So these are the types of committee debates that you'll be having during MUN. So I've mentioned that there will be like debates right in MUN. It's not really just like mere debates. It's really the debate in MUN is a compilation of the things that you'll be doing. In terms of negotiation, in terms of speeches, it's really what we call it collectively as the committee debate. So yeah, the general speakers list is the first one of this committee debate. It's really just the default form of committee speeches or committee debates that you're going to have. So it's really a non-exhaustive list, which is used at the beginning of any new committee session if there is no other motion. Usually, when you start any committee session, you'll be starting off with the general speakers list first. And this is actually so the top one is really the one on the description of it, and the last two is just a bit of a hint for this types of speeches. So the best time, so this general speakers list is usually the best time to make rhetorical speeches that intrigue people through acts. So usually, if you've done MUN, you can see people coming in with acts. Right, some of them like to use quotes, some of them like to walk in the room. So people come with different types of approaches for GSL, and this is actually really the time for you to make those kind of speeches. So GSL is usually the place where the time where you actually try to engage with the other delegates, not in the most substantive way as you will do in moderate caucus, but it's really just on how you get noticed by other delegates. So general speakers list is usually for that purpose. And upon completing a GSL speech, you can yield your time to the chair, to questions, or to another delegate. The difference between this is that, for example, you have 90 seconds, and then your time, and then you only speak for like 60 seconds, so you have 30 seconds left, right? You can yield to the chair, meaning that your 30 seconds will be elapsed. There will be no other 30 seconds. You can yield to questions, so you can answer to people's someone can ask you and then you can answer it in 30 seconds, the remaining 30 seconds, or to another delegate, which means that you can give your time, those remaining 30 seconds, to another delegate. So that other delegate can actually speak for those 30 seconds in your behalf, or not in your behalf actually, to just take those 30 seconds for their own chance. That's really what the GSL is. Moderated caucus is actually delegates taking turns making 1 to 2 minute speeches on certain subjects or subtopics according to the motion raised. For example, the motion, let's say we're talking about child marriage, right? So the first moderated caucus will be the status. Usually, when we start the conference, the first kind of motion and the first moderated caucus will be really the situation of child marriage in each country per se. So yeah, those delegates that chooses to raise their placard or to speak on this motion, they will be taking 1 to 2 minutes according to the time to speak on that matter. So very specific topics. So these are what we call subtopics, right? Very specific topics that you'll be talking about in a certain model caucus. And most discussions, those fruitful discussions, happen during the moderate caucuses with delegates addressing the key issues and solutions. So this is like the formal way of you delivering your stances, so to say, delivering what you want to say, your solutions or the problems you want to identify. These are the time to do it. And any solution put in the final resolution shall have been mentioned in the moderate caucus. Usually this is the case because you know, it's just the formalities that are being mentioned. Yeah, usually this is the case for every MUN. And last one is unmoderated caucus. So this is actually quite different because unmoderated caucus, as the name suggests, there's really no one moderating the caucus. There's really no one moderating the session. So most actual diplomacy are done during these sessions, as delegates are left free to do anything as they wish. You can literally do anything. You can go to the toilet, you can eat, you can do anything literally. You can sleep in the session, although that is not recommended at all. But you're free to do anything during the unmoderated caucus. So the first unmoderated caucus is usually the time for blocks to be formed, and the next ones are to create working paper and draft resolution. So first unmoderated caucus usually happens after the third moderated caucus, so it's like the fourth motion usually. And then those you get into groups. You can try to mingle with other delegates, try to ask their stances, try to communicate what your concerns are. It's just really the time to do that during the first UMC. After that, the session is really about you just forming the solutions, forming the working paper and draft resolution. And UMC is actually the time to establish your presence within the council between fellow delegates. So the difference between MC and UMC is that MC is for you to be noticed by the chair, UMC is for you to be noticed by the delegates. That's what I like to do, or that's what I know from the experience that I've had, is that chairs will most often take a look at your performance during moderated caucus. Unmoderated caucus is for you to focus on other delegates, so you get noticed by the delegates. Usually, when you're noticed by other delegates in the UMC, those delegates will mention you during the next moderated caucus. So this is just something that happens in MUN a lot. So know when you have to establish your presence and to whom should you be known to, or to whom should you you should establish your presence. Next, please. Right, points and motions. These are the things that you're going to raise, or these are the things that you're going to say often or hear often in MUN. There are several points and motions that should always be remembered by the delegates when coming to a conference. So these are only the important ones. If you take a look into different MUN procedures, there are, let's say, the Harvard procedure. There is also the Taiwan procedure, the European one. But these are the ones that are usually used in Indonesia, I think. So there are motions and there are points. What's the difference between motions and points? Motions usually, in my understanding, they will require action by the whole council, while point is actually pointed towards a certain person, let's say the chair or the delegate or a certain delegate, and you'll see it later. So the motion to open debate, of course, when you start the council, you need to open debate first. Motion for moderated caucus. So I've mentioned moderated caucus, and how you propose it is that motion for a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute each speaking time. So that means that there will be 10 delegates speaking for 1 minute each, totaling at 10 minutes. Motion for unmoderated caucus means that motion for, let's say, 20-minute unmoderated caucus. So you'll have 20 minutes of free time, so to say. But then again, you need to do diplomacy during this 20 minutes, right? And then motion to introduce working paper or draft resolution. Those two are both in order. Usually, some delegates should present the draft resolution to the council. These delegates are called as sponsors, right? Motion to suspend or adjourn meeting. Suspend is actually when you want to go to a break and then continue again later through another committee session. Adjourn is when you end the whole thing. And then you can move into voting procedure. Before you move into voting procedure, you end the debate, motion to close debate, and then you move into voting procedure. Then after that, you motion to adjourn the meeting. That's when the meeting really ends. So points are really different. Points usually you only try to appoint the chair for points. So point of order is really when you see that the dais or the chair is not acting in parliamentary order. Let's say after Malaysia, the person that should be speaking is Singapore, but then the chair skipped Singapore because he, perhaps human mistake, human error. He mentioned Indonesia, right? So you can say point of order, chair, this should be Singapore speaking next. So that's when the chair makes mistakes. So you can just like to clarify to the chair, okay, chair, perhaps you make some error there. Point of parliamentary inquiry is when you want to ask the chairs. For example, you don't understand what is this. So for example, you don't understand moderated caucus, then you can say, chairs, point of parliamentary inquiry, what is moderated caucus? Can you explain to me a bit, just when you want to ask about procedures to the chair. Point of personal privilege is when you want to request something. Let's say if someone speaking is not loud enough, or the speakers or the air conditioner is too cold. If the speaker is too loud or the air conditioner is too cold, then you can ask for this personal privilege. But please be reminded, and this is actually something that always happens in MUN, is that some people use point of personal privilege to go to the toilet. You don't have to do that. You can just go outside and then return in quiet. Yeah, you don't have to let every other people know that you're going to the toilet. Yeah. Right. Next, please. Yeah, these are my tips for making a position paper. Usually these are the three structures what you'll be having in a position paper. The first one being background of the issue, past actions, and then proposed solutions. Background of the issue is really 1 or 2 paragraphs that explains the topic of the council. It's usually used to outline the issue, the main points of the issue, and which key points are to be addressed in the council. But be reminded that background of the issue should not merely take the information that you get from the study guide. So it should be a little bit differentiated because of the fact that everyone reads the study guide, right? The chairs don't need you to give another one of their study guides that they create their own, right? Basically, what you do is you give the background of the issue, but please contextualize it to the perspective of your country. For example, try to embody that issue from the perspective of your country, how your country views it. So this is for you to also establish your country's identity from the beginning of your position paper. So this is something that you should do throughout the whole document, is that you should try to maintain the identity or perspective of your country within what you're writing. Past actions, I can actually usually divide this past actions by three levels: your country's past actions, their nations and its subsidiaries, let's say UNICEF, WHO, and other UN bodies, and then international bodies that are not included in the UN, let's say ASEAN or the EU. They're not really under the UN, right? So yeah, those actions can actually also be included only if it's relevant to the topic and also to your country's objectives here. And you can also highlight actions that have worked or those that have not worked. And it should be more elaborate than the issue background. So, you should highlight what have worked. Let's say, okay, this solution have worked, so we can continue this, and this have not. So we need to try to find a solution to replace that one. That's what you usually do in past actions. You identify those also. And last one is proposed solution. You want to propose to other countries or what you want to propose to the council to do. It can be something new or something that is proven to work, let's say in your country, and you want to make it bigger. You want to propose that for the other countries to do as well. You can try to do that. And don't just list out solutions, explain them. Usually some people, especially first timers, they list out like this 8 solutions, but then only like in 1 sentence or 2 sentences. That's really not what you do with proposing solutions. Anyone can just come up with ideas, but it's really the execution or how you explain it that makes your solution different, right? And what makes other people can be convinced with your solution. And the best solutions are outlined clearly down to the details on mechanisms and frameworks that are needed to execute. Let's say how your solution is going to be implemented, who are the parties that are going to be implemented. I think really you must try to, I think it's better for you to try to answer the 5W and 1H to better create a solution, to make a comprehensive solution. Next. Yeah, now on making a resolution. As a resolution is a formal document, these are the rules that you should be following when drafting a resolution. So why did I skip working paper? Because working paper is basically a rough version of the resolution, right? So what you need to keep in mind is just the resolution, then your working paper usually follows. Usually I don't do working paper in a different format than make a draft resolution, because yeah, it's just me being lazy of doing things doing redundant things. Do 2 things at the same time, right? So in the end, I just create I just create the working paper with the format of the resolution. I think this is what people usually do as well. So I don't think this is just 1 or 2 people doing it. So resolution, there are 2 parts that you need to keep in mind. The first one being preambulatory, and second is the operative clauses. What's the difference? Preambulatory basically justifies the resolution. Operative is the actual part of the resolution. What is meant by that is really a resolution should start with history justification for it. It should contain facts from topics as well as any previous documents that have addressed the issues at hand. For example, you're addressing what, let's say, again, the example child marriage, right? You need to address what is the urgency of child marriage. why this needs to be discussed and why should we do something about it. And also you can mention past actions, or let's say past documents that have tried to address that, but why you should still establish a new one, because let's say the past solution didn't work, let's say. So it's really you trying to justify the resolution. It's really just to give context why the resolution is needed. And usually in parliamentary clauses, you use words like affirming, recalling, alarmed by, recognizing, keeping in mind, deeply concerned, noting with regret, having examined. It's really just, let's say recalling the resolution, blah, 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 by the United Nations Children's Fund on this, alarmed by the increasing number of child marriage within the Asian region, for example. So it's just those kind of things that justify your resolution. Here's a tip: preambulatory clauses should not be your main priority. Although it is important, it shouldn't be your main priority. So because usually this is just what happens is that usually they skip the preambulatory clauses, right, when you present the draft resolution. But yeah, some of my friends, they like to create this 8-page preambulatory clauses just for the sake of having 16-page resolution. But yeah, if you like making words up, I think you can do that. But in most cases, you don't have to. Operative clause is really the action that you're going to take. So you express the actions taken by the council in this section, but remember to keep your solutions clear and cohesive as to not have contradictions with itself or past resolutions. So what is meant by this is that you need to know every solution that you're putting into the operative clauses. So as I mentioned before, you have to work with other delegates, right? Usually some delegates, they have different and aligned solutions. You need to calibrate within these solutions as to choose which ones should be put in the final resolution, because sometimes there are two solutions that are just doing the same thing, or there are two solutions that you might not realize actually contradict each other. So you need to identify this first before you move into that. So operative clauses use phrases like decides, establishes, calls upon, invites, encourages, recognizes, further requests, or in this case condemns. But just to remember that the UN is not really that strong of an international body. Usually they can only do like establish or calls upon or encourages. They cannot really do anything strong, especially other bodies other than the United Nations Security Council. So that's why I put a start mark there for condemns, because not every operative clauses can be used by all UN bodies. Just understand the context. For example, you cannot use condemn for other councils than the UNSC. Yeah, and it's just something you need to keep in mind, because usually your actions need to reflect what your council can do. So if you go out of way, I think it's just you not understanding the council, or yeah, it won't do anything good for you if you put just anything that comes into your mind there. Next. Yeah, these are the last things that I want to give you when it comes to bonus tips and coming into an MUN conference. So the first one is you need to prepare early. So allocating more time initially means being able to improve your materials later on. So usually what I do is after I registered, usually if I register, this is what I do usually. If there are 3 council preferences, I only choose like the same council for all 3. If I really want that council, so I need to prepare early. So I know that I can prepare early. So I only do initial research on the topic in general. Then as soon as you get the information regarding your country allocation, then you can start working on country-specific research. So start preparing as soon as you register. That's what I usually do. And then take in opinions. When you write the position paper, when you prepare for the research, take in opinions from people. Ask people about your position paper and the resources that you use. But always remember to filter all the inputs that are coming in. Some of them really are going to help you, but some of them are just noises. They don't really, you don't have to accommodate everything from all those people that you ask their opinions for. And then review and revise. After you filter the opinions, then you review and revise those opinions. Take a second look at your materials and make slight adjustments as you see fit with the inputs that you've gained. And then during the council, you please do participate. I know that some people find that doing MUN for the first time is really intimidating, but yeah, just participate in the council. Try as much as possible to speak up. even if you speak up for like after the first committee session, let's say you just try to speak up in the second committee session, but just don't be a spectator there. You know, there's always something that you can contribute in, especially because, you know, when you come into MUN, the committee members, they know that every country that comes into a council, usually they have something to do with the council, right? They need to have something to contribute into the conversation. And then when you make, then when you join competitions or MUN, please make you that you have to work with, to network with other delegates or even the chairs. And don't worry, don't be intimidated by them. Really, they're mostly welcoming people. They want to go there to also study, to also learn, not study really, just learn. They want to learn from the MN conference just like you do. So don't be intimidated by them. And last one is request feedbacks. So after the conference, usually you can approach the chairs, right? For personal feedbacks on your performance. Usually this can be really helpful for you to increase your performance, to enhance your performance in the next conference, or really when you've done this very good enough, you don't do it for another UMN conference, you just do it for personal growth. Like, right, so you want to grow yourself personally, for example, in public speaking, you can ask specific feedbacks like those. Yeah, I think that'll be it for now. Right, yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to practice by joining MUN, because there is no better way to learn than by actually doing it yourself. Yeah, MUN can be, it can sound scary when it's, it's just people giving you this kind of materials, especially this is just a 30-minute speech, right, or a presentation, right? And people don't really find their, you cannot get that experience. You cannot get that learning curve other than by joining MUN yourself, experiencing MUN by yourself. So yeah, please do join MUN if you haven't. And if you have any questions or if you want to connect with me, those are my Instagram as well as LinkedIn, and really looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation from Rafsi. That was very comprehensive and insightful, especially for beginners in MUN. But before we continue to the second session, I would like to remind you that we will have Q&A session right after the second session. So for those of you who would like to ask questions to either one of the speakers, you can type them on the chat box, or you can ask directly using the raise hand feature later. Okay, so now that you have the understanding of the basics, the second session will give you the insight on how MUN actually brings so much impact to our career journey. In the room, we already have Dominique Virgil as our speaker. She is a former human rights researcher with tons of MUN achievement as well. Hi, Dominique, are you here with us?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Nice to meeting you virtually, everyone. Such a productive Saturday.
Okay, to Dominique, now I will give you the floor to present your session.
Okay, thank you so much for the MC. Can I screen share myself? But yeah, okay. Let me. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm not gonna be long because my slides are just 9 slides, and I'm just gonna give you a brief, experiences and stories about how MUN has impacted my professional life. This is just a disclaimer. I don't discredit other competitions that you guys might have joined before. I'm sure that all of the competitions that you gain have the skills that you can also take to advance in your career. But this is just my 2 cents about Model UN itself. So, okay, this is about me. So I'm currently working as a diplomat candidate in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. And last year, I worked as a human rights researcher in Amnesty International. And I have also been doing MUNs for quite some time, for around 5-6 years now. And yeah, I've been experiencing the salt and the sugar of MUN experiences. So I'm gladly sharing this all with you. And please, if you do have any question that I can also answer now, you can just drop the questions in the chat box if you're curious about anything that I'm going to present. All right, so these are just some snapshots of my MUN experiences. I've been a delegate, I've been a chair, I've been a secretariat member. And yeah, I think my top achievement would be winning diplomatic commendation in Harvard National MUN in 2018. And after Harvard National, my MUN career just focused on chairing and also like leading the committee, being the members of the secretariat to organize MUN. So yeah, hopefully it can inspire you or motivate you. Because one good thing about MUN, just an intermezzo, one good thing about MUN is that you can actually have the opportunities to travel to the other side of the world and to expand your network, and also to experience an environment that is completely different than where you're living currently. So yeah, hopefully COVID gets better, everyone, and that you can join more international MUNs or MUNs in other parts of Indonesia. So why I think that MUN is impactful for my career, it's simply because I joined MUNs because I already knew the kind of outcome that I expected, that I hoped since the beginning, what I'm going to achieve, and how those outcomes will contribute to reaching my personal goals. So that's why in the beginning I said that joining MUN does not give you the golden card and ensure that you are going to be successful in your career path. Sometimes you need to join another opportunity other than MUNs to expand your understanding. But the main thing that I want you guys to grasp is that before joining something, you need to know what kind of outcome it's going to contribute to your own goals. You need to know what you want to be first. You need to know 5, 10 years from now what I'm going to be in the future, what kind of profession I'm envisioning in my head. And after that, you can actually determine what kind of activities that are more, contributing to reaching those goals. So I joined MUNs because I already know what I want to be. My dream was to become a diplomat, and I joined MUNs as a tool for me to reach the goals, because I know that whatever things, the outcomes that I'm going to get from MUNs are going to make me able to reach those dreams. So I hope that you guys get the basic understanding about it. Okay, so shout out to Rafsi for such an amazing presentation explaining about MUN 101 and the procedure. And please, everyone, take note because it's one of the most comprehensive presentations that I've seen as well. So I'm not gonna, focus too much on the procedure and what kind of skills that you will get, like what Rafsi said in the presentation, but I will connect the skills that you will get in MUNs to the relevant, period that we're currently living in. As you know, that we are currently in the era of industrial 4.0, of industry 4.0, and the soft skills that you gain in MUNs are very relevant. Let's say, about public speaking or about writing. Industry 4.0 is about one of the easiest example is how you brand yourself, is how you market yourself or your company or the places that you work on to gain as many reception as possible. And engaging the people online, it's more difficult than engaging the people offline. So the skills that you gain in MUNs, for example, now you're doing online MUNs and you are forced to connect with people through your screens instead of physically, that is actually very useful for Industry 4.0. If you see, based on what I experienced, seeing my friends, seeing my colleagues, they are all now currently working either as consultant in multinational companies or in other international corporations or organizations. And this is because they are already equipped with the skills needed through MUNs. So these are what you will get. And aside from the skills, you will also find your interest and your passion and your career aspiration. So, you know, joining MUN is not about only, you know, reaching your dreams as a diplomat or a lawyer or, you know, other relevant career path in IR or law, but it can also equip you for, you know, your own major that is aside from law and IR. So, you know, I'm finding my interest and passion in human rights specifically because I joined my very first MUN in 2017. That was the European International MUN. And the topic was about female genital mutilation and also statelessness. So it's both in human rights. And I know that, okay, I grew my interest in these sectors. So I decided that I'll probably do more research about it. And then it lead me to land very good and very significantly contributing internships in research centers. So I think that can be your inspiration in joining MUN as well. And the third one is that MUNs will also give you an opportunity to find your own role models, your best friends, your acquaintances for professional matters, and you know, basically all the people that you need to make your career successful, basically. So you never know what your friend's going to be in the future, what your network's going to be in the future. So MUN is a really good platform for you to, you know, expand your network. And obviously the fourth one, what I already said before, it's the opportunities to visit different countries, especially if you're doing international MUNs. And, you know, thankfully the pandemic kind of made you able to explore more international MUNs. And for the freshman students or some high school students that I saw in the participants list, you can actually, you know, try to do online MUNs first to equip yourself for physical MUNs after COVID-19 disappears, probably. So that's what you will get generally. And the skills obtained, as Rafsi has said, it's public speaking. It's both spontaneous speech, because sometimes like in MUNs, you cannot always prepare what you're going to say. Yes, you can do your research. Yes, you can do your points. You can first write down your points before speaking, but then you don't have the time to draft the entire speech sometimes in MUN. So you are actually trained to give speech spontaneously. And you are also trained to prepare your presentation. What kind of words do you need to present to convince other delegates, for example? So this is the skill that is very important later when you are working, because when you're working, you want to get the message across as quick and as effective as possible. You don't want to keep rambling nonsense before you actually reach the point of what you're talking. So being in MUNs with the limited time that you need to speak, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, you're actually used to speak to the point. You are trained to speak straightforward. So you don't have to, you know, ramble like, you know, for more than 5 minutes and make other people bored without actually delivering the message across. So that's the first one. Second one is writing skills. Why I put mainly legal drafting there, because as you know, MUNs produce draft resolution, like the United Nations resolutions that you can see in the Google or in the internet. And these are the techniques of legal drafting that you can use. But generally, as what Rafsi said in the previous presentation, prior to MUNs, you will be required to write position paper. And then it's sometimes the chair limit the position paper to only 1 page. And then you need to fit everything there, right? You need to fit your own problem identification, the solutions, the past actions, everything. And then you need to make sure that the chairs will get what you mean in the sentence, from the sentence, so directly, without you having to explain extensively. So this is also a rare skill, because in the era in industrial 4.0, everyone is moving so fast. Everyone is trying to, you know, finish everything as fast as possible. Everyone has tight deadlines. Everyone is being mobilized so fast. So if you cannot present information in a very effective and concise manner, you will lose the momentum. So I think this is something that you can actually obtain in MUN. And obviously negotiation and lobbying skills, how you approach other delegates with different interests. It's going to be very helpful, you know, when you're start talking with your clients, for example, or when you do your work and then you are forced to do as much networking as possible, promoting your own companies, promoting the products and the promotion of your own institution. And that needs negotiation and lobbying skills to convince. And the fourth one is organizational skills. You will learn how to be a good leader, how to accommodate different opinions from the people that attend. And also, like, you're gonna learn about strategic thinking, interrelational skills. And then when you start sharing MUNs, you will also learn how to think more objectively, and also how to moderate in a very effective way. So I think these are the skills that you can obtain in MUNs. The next one will be, yeah, this is just my 2 cents about how to make the best of your MUN experiences. So like you said, I put some words on a bold mode: delegate, chair, secretariat member. So while you're still young, probably in the beginning of your university life, try to also try the roles that are offered in MUN as a delegate, when you are striving to research, to win awards, to perform well. And then you can also try to be the chair after you've done plenty of MUNs as a delegate. And then you can also be a secretariat member, because all of these opportunities, all of these roles can give you the skills that you need, different set of skills that you will need. And it will also, the more you do it, it will also give you some sort of skills, some sort of familiarity about, you know, how you need to be adaptive with new situation, how you need to be agile with new situations. So try to always, you know, do these three roles if you can. Further tips is, I think this is the highlight of the entire presentation that I have. The first one is, don't stop at MUNs. Always try other competitions that are more related to your major or interest. And you can apply your MUN skills there. So I'm not saying that, okay, um, joining MUN will be bad for you, no, but don't stop there, because MUNs will give you preliminary skills that you need, but then you can always sharpen it in other opportunities. For example, for me, I love writing. I love doing my research. That's why I try other competitions. I try moot court in my last year. I try essay competition. I wrote papers, academic papers. I submitted my papers to academic conferences. And I think that's something that you need to do. So don't stop at MUNs. Winning awards at MUNs don't mean that you are better than everyone else, or that you are more entitled to, I don't know, good career path, other than, you know, compared to other people. No, but you need to keep yourself improving. You know, you need to keep learning, you need to keep improving yourself. And the second point is that, remember that your academics is still your utmost priority. So for those of you who are still at high school or still studying in the university, you need to bear in mind that, you know, although you have exquisite, amazing MUN career outside of your university or high school, your, you know, interviewers later, when you apply for jobs, or anyone basically that want to hire you, will always see how responsible you are with your academics, because that's one of the indicator showing how you are responsible with whatever you're having and whatever you're working on right now. So try not to you know, switch your focus too much. Always remember that doing well in your university is always the utmost priority. For my um, for my own experiences, my GPA is still a cum laude, and it allowed me to also, you know, land good jobs right after graduation. But the supplementary skills is that the skills that I get from MUNs basically. So always do your best in your academics, and always try to land, you know, good GPAs. Try to achieve that. Try to maintain your GPA in university. So the third one, always be hungry with new knowledge. Try to always be a continuous learner, because it will really help you to go a long way. Don't stop at winning some things, or don't stop at, you know, being satisfied with your achievement. Yes, you need to celebrate, but then you cannot dwell too much on the same spot that you're in. The world keeps moving, so try to always gain more skills. Up until now, since the pandemic started a year ago, all MUNs are postponed, and then it's very hard for everyone to actually find other opportunities. But I do, you know, use this 1 year, the past 1 year, to always actively join webinars to gain more knowledge, to gain more skills. So I think that it's going to be very, you know, beneficial for you to do that, because you don't know, like, the world has a lot of things that you need to discover, and knowledge, new knowledge, new information that you probably don't know now. So always try to be open-minded. Always try to, you know, listen to what other people say. Always try to educate yourself with what's happening. The tendency of MUNers are that we are quite opinionated, and we are quite vocal in expressing our opinions. But I want you guys to humble yourself more. Always try to learn. Always try to learn from other people that probably didn't even join MUNs, and never see people as they're lower. And don't be self-entitled just because, you know, you have accomplished so much in MUNs. And the last one is that please remember that getting your award is just the bonus. So I mean, it's important. Yes, it gives you a sense of achievement, and you know, you need to celebrate it. Yes, but don't join MUNs just because you want to get awards. I mean, it's not supposed to be the first priority. Focus on being better every time you join MUNs, because you know, life is all about competition. You need to reserve your energy for competing at work later on, because it's gonna take a lifetime. So try to, you know, always enjoy the process. Remember that, you know, no matter how hardworking you are, you still need to be able to enjoy the process, because that's how you know what you're learning, and you can actually find some time to introspect and to reflect your progresses. So I think that's gonna be my presentation so far. And yeah, I'm giving back the floor to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you so much for the insights and valuable lesson that we can learn from the presentation. It was really an eye-opener to all of us. Thank you so much again. Now, we've reached to the Q&A session of MUN Seminar. I believe some of you already saved questions or follow-ups to both of speakers. So for the first session, I will entertain 3 questions from the audience. Please raise your hand or type them below on the chat box. I see 2 people, 4 participants. Okay. First up, the question from the chat box, I believe from Teresia. The question is, so in MUN, there is single and double delegate. Can I get the explanation about the systematics or rules, such as speaking time of the 2 delegates itself? Because I really confused about it. Probably I will give first to answer is Rafsi, sorry.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the question. Yeah. By the way, before I proceed, thank you, Kadong, for the very amazing presentation. I really, yeah, you're also one of the people that I look up to in MUN. When I did MUN, I don't do anymore. But yeah, for the question, yeah, I think I've only experienced like 1 or 2 times of double delegating. So I'm not the best person to answer this for now. But so far as I did. Those double delegating, I think usually, because this is in UNSC, usually the first person focuses on establishing the presence in the council, especially during the moderated caucuses, while the other person focuses on negotiating. Yeah, because one of the MUNs that I did with this was so the chair asked us to divide the room into 2. So the one delegate needs to stay in the room while the other delegate can go outside to do negotiation. I don't know how it works now in online MUN, in online setting, but like when I did, but when that happened was that, yeah, the one person stays in the room to focus on the formal debate, while the other person have non-stop unmoderated caucus outside, so they just negotiate with each other all the time. But usually when you start the council, you need to both be in the council first. That's usually how it. No, not usually. That was my experience. You know, I did not do that much. Not even that many, right? So yeah, I think that was my experience. I don't know in general how that would be. Perhaps I'll give the time to Kandom.
Okay, so what Rafsi said, it's right. Yeah, my last time delegating was 3 years ago, 2018. Yeah, and basically, sometimes when it's unmoderated caucus, when the chair allows the delegates to go outside of the room to have unmoderated caucus while the speech is still ongoing inside the room, sometimes my double delegate will go outside and then do the negotiation. So the strategy is sometimes like double delegates consist of 2 types of people with different expertise. The first one is speech, and the second one is negotiating. During my time in Harvard National, my co-delegate, my double delegate, is more, he's better in doing negotiation while I'm better in delivering my speech. So I stayed inside the room most of the times, and he's the one who negotiate with other delegates outside of the room. But then there are some times when the chairs didn't allow the delegates to have other session in outside of the room. So everyone is required to be in the same room, and then the timing will be still the same. So you need to, sometimes like me and my double delegate, we just went in front of the delegates. Sometimes if the time is 1 minute, I'll only speak, like only me, but he's gonna stand there. But then sometimes we divide. If the time is 2 minutes, for example, 1 minute and 1 minute. So it depends on how you strategize and how you arrange the role between you and your co-delegate. Just make sure that, the difficulty about double delegating is that you need to have the same perspective of what kind of offer that us as a country can accept what kind of proposal that we can accept as a country from other countries, other delegates. So that's the tricky part, how to balance what we say inside the room and what we say outside of the room during the negotiation. So I think, I hope that answers.
Okay, thank you very much for the answers. We'll move on to the second question. I will give the floor to Dani Lestariana. You may unmute yourself and start speaking.
Hello, Kak Dominique and Kak Rafsi. Thank you very much for the amazing explanation. I would actually like to ask your opinion about MUN in Indonesia. Like, for example, I felt like most of the winners and most of the established MUN communities are from Jakarta and Java. How do you think we could make a more inclusive MUN? Like, I would like to see more winners in Makassar, for example, or maybe in Eastern Indonesia. Is it Jayapura or is it Kupang or in Sumatra? What's your opinion on that? And third of all, what is your opinion about giving MUN to younger generations? Like, for example, now we see more MUNers from high school. What do you think about giving them to elementary school students or even junior high school students, so we have an earlier start, so that when they enter college, they're going to be more excelling in winning MUN abroad? Thank you, Kak Dominic and Kak Rafsi.
You may answer the question now. First, maybe Kak Dominique can answer first.
Okay, sure. Okay, for the high school question first, the second question, I think Rafsi will know better because he started MUN early since high school, right, Rafsi? Yeah, he can probably try to explain more, but I think that giving the chance to high schoolers in Indonesia are better, because if you know, like, the general condition, status quo of Indonesian high schoolers are that our English skills are not that at that level yet. That's the simplest indicator that I can highlight. So giving these opportunities, MUN opportunities, are actually good opportunities, good platform for them to sharpen their English skill. Because I'm not a public speaker. I wasn't a public speaker as well back then in high school. So MUNs really helped me to, be able to speak like this even more. So I think that it's something that is beneficial. And the first question on the MUNs in Java, unfortunately, yes. And I think it's because, MUNs, most MUNs are conducted in Java, like by the universities or high school in Java. But then it's rarely conducted by the schools in the eastern part of Indonesia. Don't get me wrong, I'm from the east as well, but staying here in Java since I was little as well. So I think that what you can do, guys, from Makassar, from the east part of Indonesia, is always try to innovate and try to propose, for your school or for your universities to conduct MUNs, so that people will have opportunities. Because people can only get people can only improve their skills after they are exposed with opportunities. So if the opportunity isn't there, how are we able to improve the skills that we need, right? So probably what you can do as university students are like that. First, always try to propose new MUNs. And I think pandemic is the nice choice. Nice, I mean, not nice period, but I mean, it has a positive impact of, being able to conduct more MUNs online. So easier access for the people from all over Indonesia. So I think that's it. And I think MUN hasn't been really recognized by the government itself, or by the Ministry of Youth and Education, for example, or Youth and Sports. Because once MUN receives that kind of recognition, I think that the promotion of MUN can even be better, because it's led by government institutions instead of ad hoc in ad hoc basis by the students like us or by the youth. So I think that's what I can say. Rafsi, you should add something, by the way.
By the way, I apologize for turning off my camera because my internet is kind of bad right now. Yeah. By the way, for the first question, I think Kado really explained a lot, yeah, about that, because yeah, number one is the fact that it's just that the amount of conference in Java, especially, there are just so many of them now. Not now, actually, before the pandemic. After the pandemic, I don't really know the distinctions between MUNs in Java, MUN in there's I don't even know between Indonesia and international MUNs anymore now. But then yeah, when it comes to MUN, really, I think it's the same goes for both questions. Yeah, sebenarnya. There's this burden. I wouldn't say burden. There's this sort of task, or there's this task that you need to do, especially when you're starting off. Both when you are starting off as a high school MUN community or high school MUNer, as well as if you're an MUN community in Eastern Indonesia or other parts of Indonesia other than Java. It's for you to create others. It's for you to help other MUNs or other MUN communities to be established within where you live or your community per se. Let me just give an example. So MUN for high school MUN in Jakarta, it's really it has been normal since when I started MUN. For example, lab school, they've created MUN for a long time right now. Both lab school Rawamangun and lab school Kebayoran, I suppose. Both lab schools, they've created MUNs. Even Mentari, they created MUNs. Like almost Jakarta high schools, they've created MUNs. But then in Surabaya, there wasn't a single MUN community. Especially, no, I mean for university, yes, there was, but for high school, there wasn't. So after I joined MUN as a high schooler, what I did was I also tried to get my friends into MUN as well. So right now in Surabaya, at least, there are numerous schools that have created their own MUN clubs, including my own school. And then, on the question, so it's really just when you start, don't forget to also impact others to start doing the same thing, or at least MUN in this context to just establish or flourish that the community within your place or your region. So for the question on MUNs in junior high school and even what was that, elementary school, yeah, I attended this MUN once. I think that's a good fact that this MUN was in Sidoarjo, so it's really near my house in Surabaya. And then this MUN, the participants, quite shockingly, there were elementary school students. And yeah, I think the fact that it was international school makes it less surprising, but still, it starts to be a part of the thing for now for elementary and junior high school students, not only high school students. So it's something good. But then yeah, usually it starts solely from international schools. I mean, obviously, because they have the resources. But then yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying to do that, because again, MUN is not something that the government really focuses on, or they've recognized so much, other than other kinds of competition per se. But if you can try to, I think it's our collective obligation to try to flourish this community, even to those younger people. I think that would be something good. But yeah, it's already growing, and I think it's just about time for us to wait for the further steps after this.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Maybe ini bisa jadi kesempatan buat anak-anak SMA sekarang, apalagi di Makassar, untuk start initiate MUN clubs di sekolahnya kayak gitu. Okay, so we move on to the next question. I will give the opportunity to Rusa. You may unmute yourself and start speaking.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So my question is actually for Kak Dominique sendiri. Jadi one of the slides you say that all of the organizations, all of the achievements that you need to achieve should always drive you towards your personal goal. So I want to ask something about this goal setting, or even like finding your own dream. In that sense, I am pretty sure that some of us, including me as well, actually have difficulties in that area, where we have many potentials, we have many interests, yet we don't know which one we want to do, which one of them contains our dream itself. So how do you, in your own experience, how do you find your dream to be a diplomat itself, and what kind of tips are you gonna give to the younger generation like us on how to find our dreams themselves? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rusa. That's a very nice question. And I'm just going to give you the 2 cents from what I experienced. So probably if other people disagree with me, if feel free. This is just basically safe space. So I'm just going to give you what I learned from my own experience. So for me, finding the dream as a diplomat itself, it was from the first MUN that I joined, Jakarta MUN. It was 2014, so it's already 7 years ago. And at first, I didn't know what diplomat is even. Like, I have no idea what diplomat is, and yeah, I'm just like hearing from people, and then not really putting so much research into it. But then once I started joining MUN, there was this one session where the organizer invited all of the diplomats and the ambassadors and tried to give them opportunities to speak in the event. And that inspired me, kind of like that kind of curiosity. It makes me curious about, okay, what kind of work diplomats do, things like that. So I started putting so much research on that, and basically that's where I found, okay, I think this is gonna fit me somehow. So yeah, I shifted the whole plan of my high school. I'm planning to get into engineering like my dad back then. But then because of that, I tried to get into IR, but then failed. Then I got into law. So that's a pretty long journey back then as well. But what I'm saying is that it's okay if you don't know what your goal is. If you don't have any slightest idea about what you're going to be, what I can suggest you is try to, try and explore. So I know that, people are fortunate enough to have figured out what they want to be. But then if you don't, just keep exploring, keep joining many opportunities, many platforms for you. Because if you don't explore, and if you just take what your parents say, or you just take what other people say to you, what your teachers say about you, and what kind of profession are suitable for you, it will either be burdening to you as an individual because you don't really like what you're doing. So what I'm saying is that always try to improve, always try to explore the opportunities around you. And I think that there will come a time when you find what you're passionate about. It's like me, like specifically for human rights, it's only after joining MUNs that I know that I'm passionate about human rights, for example. So I think that's what I can offer you for the answer. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself, my experiences. So feel free to have a chat later on if you want. Yeah, hope it answers, Rusa.
Yeah, that answers it well. Thank you so much, Kak.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. Now, since we have the time to in this session, I will open another session for the Q&A. So I will entertain 3 more questions. The first is from Regina Faranavila. You may unmute yourself and start speaking.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for Kak Rafsi and Kak Dominic for such a very inspiring and insightful talk. So I have 2 questions. First is I would like to ask, how do you keep being motivated the moment when you're preparing for your MUN? Because honestly, I have joined in several MUN before, and while writing on my position paper, sometimes I was just being like very, very lazy. Like I did not have the motivation to actually write my positions paper, or I was very lazy to do my research, etc. So that is my first question about how to keep being motivated for preparing MUN. But so, second question is, I would like to ask, how about you're joining in MUN, and then the country that you get is a country that is very, very, like a very, very private country. It's not an open country like America, for example, but it is a very private country like North Korea. So how do you do your research to actually know about that country? Because as we know that countries like North Korea is very hard to find, like it's very hard to find the information about that country. So that is my question. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will give the first opportunity to Rafsi to answer the question first.
All right. Thank you. I think I'll have first the first question. Yeah. In regards to how to keep motivated. There are two ways. Number one is the motivation, like why did you join that MUN in the first place? So for me, usually when I join MUN, usually because I do crisis, right? Some of the most of the time in my last several MUNs, I really enjoy doing that. So just make sure when you register for a topic or for a council you really enjoy or you really are interested in. So that's number one. If you're really only interested in one out of three councils, and you need to choose like based on priority order, just choose like the first one for all three. That's what I do usually. Yeah, that's just a tip to get around it. That's my way. And second, I think, and this is the most effective one for me, and I think this should be effective for you, especially in offline MUN, is you've paid the MUN. So yeah, make sure that money is worth it. Yeah, you need to gain the most experience, right? It's not about winning. Again, it's not about winning. It's just for you on, you need to find the best. You need to really utilize the opportunity to learn. Yeah, I mean, quantifying it in money is a good way to do it, is an easy way to do it. But yeah, it's just that you need to be reminded why you registered for it in the first place, right? And just make sure that from the beginning you're really committed into it. You really know that you're signing up into something you really enjoy. And I think most of the time, if you've written I think some MN they require like motivation letter of some sort. If you've put good enough reasoning there, I think most likely you'll get the country or the council you're you're aiming for. And second question was about private country. Yeah, I think some private countries they are really some of them are really prominent. Let's say North Korea. I mean, they're private, but then everyone knows North Korea. Their stances, it's pretty obvious, right? Especially in regards to things like military matters. Usually, North Korea. I don't know. I've never encountered North Korea in other contexts other than those involving the military or nuclear weapons. So yeah. Usually those the committee members, they've already allocated countries, put the country metrics based on the understanding of their understanding of the topic. Usually the countries, they have something to do with it. Yeah, I think the best way to do it is to really understand, not only if you cannot find the sources from your own country, then try looking at what other sources, or let's say the news, or although this should not be your primary option here, the news or other countries, see your country, like what do they say about your country. Usually if you find like similar theme across, I think that can be a starting point there. But again, I've never had to be in that position many times. Usually my position is that my country is the most problematic. Let's say child marriage, I get India, but then it's really obvious, right? It's not really like my country is private. But yeah, I think Kak Dom, I think you can answer this better, because I think when in Harvard, usually Indonesia doesn't get the most prominent countries, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, true. Rafsi, I'm just gonna add a bit. That's true. I got Benin in Harvard National. Like no one ever heard of Benin. What kind of country is that? Even the chair mispronounced it. My chair said benign. Like, come on. So it actually, I mean, for the country, for the councils like GA, and its specialized committees or councils that do not have political, polarization as much as Security Council or HRC, for example. It's easier for you to brand your country in a way that will, help you to win at some points, because it depends on how well you perform, basically, right? Like obviously country's interest and your country's own policy matters too, but then what is more significant to your results is your own performance and how for example, you convince other delegates to agree with your proposal. But then for the research wise, what I can tell you is that always look for, always go the extra mile to look for research from NGOs and media, because yes, if international media do not have the coverage, there are sometimes local NGOs that work together with international NGOs to actually disclose some information about the country. And then always try to extract the main interest of the country that you're representing from, various medias. For example, there are one news article covers two countries, the United States and North Korea, for example. And then you couldn't find something in the media, about North Korea specifically. But then you can actually extract, get an idea about what North Korea is trying to reach from their statements in that, in response to America, for example. So always try to be, try to be creative in researching. So yeah, I think that's how I can give you.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I hope that answers your questions. Now we move on to the next questions. I will give the floor to Karisma Nuriza. You may unmute yourself and start speaking.
Thank you for the chance. So my question is, it is about, since I know that Kak Dominique and Kak Rafsi have remarkable awards and achievement in MUN especially. So my question is how we keep our confident self in joining MUN competition, especially in international level. Because sometimes before I join MUN in international level, I doubt myself, how can I survive in the conference or etc. Especially when the conference itself coming from one countries, and most of the delegates come from one countries, and I the only Indonesian people there, or I the only Asian people there, because I've joined, for example, when I joined Harvard National Model United Nations, I'm in press corps, and then the press corps, it is small council, and our communications really really quite good, and I feel like, oh, how I should survive in this comedy, and most of them from, yes, and I'm the only one from Indonesia that I don't really know how to keep my confident self enduring the comedy stations. Thank you, Kak.
Okay, thank you for the question. I would like to give the floor to Dominique first to answer the questions.
Yeah, I completely understand your concern, because I was in that position too for quite some time, and especially Harvard National, because it's very tough. Very little delegates from actually Asia and Africa. So yeah, if you hear around about Harvard National, it's very tough because there are real like Ivy League people there, and sometimes they can be racist. You know, some horrible situation happened, but not that I experienced. But what I can say is that always you need to ingrain within your mind, in your mind, that in MUN everyone has the equal shot, and that if you have the capacity and if you have the quality that it takes to win, you're gonna have the same opportunity as whoever that is in the MUNs, and then your voice is the same as them. You have the opportunities to raise as many motions, or to raise your points, or to speak as much as they get. So it starts from your own perspective about yourself and about how you see the environment surrounding you, because it's not going to be only in MUN. You're going to be faced with these kind of situation and other opportunities too, and in this globalized world. You're going to meet a lot of people from different countries. So try to always start with how you think about yourself. Okay, being Indonesian, although our English is not, our first language, I mean, it doesn't matter. MUN is not about how good your English is. It's about how you can actually deliver your message across, and how you can speak, how you can solve the problem together, collaboratively. So always try to reaffirm to yourself that, I have a same shot with anyone else's. Just because I'm from Indonesia, it doesn't mean that I deserve less. Try to own it more, because I think that's what I can suggest to you. Probably Rafsi has addition.
Right, yeah. I think the one you mentioned, the case where you're the Indonesian there, especially when it's one race. So here's the story from Harvard MUN. So my council was Crisis Council. It was the name was the Future of Rafida Nadu. So it's Indian history. 9 out of 15 people there were Indians, including all 3 chairs. So it was not So 12 out of 18 people there were Indians, right? So I was one of the minorities. I was the only Asian, non-Indian Asian there. The other ones were like Colombian and some high school kids from Princeton High School, somewhere in the US. So yeah, there were 2 things that really got me into actually starting, or to actually let away those kinds of fears. The first one is that understand that the best way to convince yourself that you're ready is by actually being ready, being prepared. So like just make sure that you have comprehensive enough research. So like you have contingency plans for everything, for anything, right? So just make sure that you prepare the most out of everyone there. At least to your best understanding. You cannot go further than that. Try to always question all of your research. Okay, is this all it, or can there be something else, right? So just prepare until you cannot find any more questions to your research or to everything that you've found. Second is that fear, usually they only come in the first session. If you manage to handle that fear in the first session, then usually the next sessions you'll be you'll be fine. So it's just really what I say, what I call as like the calibration stage in the conference, especially when you're intimidated in the beginning, right? Just make sure that you present yourself. I mean, like in the first comedy session, just try as much as possible to speak up. So the number one, you yourself, you're going to be adjusted with the condition where you have to speak up more during the rest of the conference. And second is that people, even those people, they get to notice you. Right. So just make sure those people also notice you, because as Kak Dom said, that everyone has the same chance, right? With that same chance, just make sure that you are the person that takes that chance more than everyone else. If your aim is to really do that, yeah, I think that's just those are the two things that you need to do. First, preparing well, and second is convincing yourself in the very first session by doing it, by making sure that you get noticed. I think that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the answer. I hope that answers your questions. So for the last question, I will give the opportunity to Cindy. You may unmute yourself and start speaking.
Okay, first of all, thank you for letting me ask several questions that I like to ask. So the first question is for the first section, which is for both maximizing learning experiences in MUN, which is request of feedback from chairs. How if the feedback is actually not appropriate with our actual needs to improve what we're still weak on? For instance, I'm weak in my public speaking skill, yeah. And I think I should ask feedback. And when I ask my feedback about my about how to improve my public speaking skill, I receive the feedback that I should practice more. While actually, after I found it, I really need a tutor to help me improve my public speaking skill. And my question is, how if the feedback we receive isn't actually appropriate with our actual needs?
So that's the questions.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe Rafsi can answer the questions. I'll give the
Right.
floor.
Okay. Okay. For this question, I think the first thing that you need to do when it comes to asking the feedback is other than just asking the general feedback, which I think is something good either way. You can still always learn things out. For example, you can learn something new from the chairs other than the things that you asked. For example, other than public speaking, perhaps the chairs notice that you have this weakness that you can still improve on. I think that's one thing. But second, that is also that when you ask, you can also ask like chairs, specifically for my public speaking or my speeches. Is there any way for me to improve? So just ask the right questions, right? Again, this is also a skill that you, not the skill actually, this is a requisite thing that you need to do in asking questions. So just ask the right questions and know your purpose in asking what question, specific question, and then just direct the chair into answering that question, right? Second is again, in the case where your chair only gives like I don't think this is just in that case, yeah. You can always try to approach or maintain relationship with peers from the conference, right? Sometimes if I really am curious about their feedback at that moment, usually I even ask for them to connect with me, let's say on line or let's say Instagram, so that we can connect, or I can actually learn from that person even more in the future. Here's a story. In my first MUN, I was so curious about the feedback that I actually that one of the chairs actually become my MUN mentor to the day I last did MUN. So yeah, that first chair, it was my mentor. I still think he's my mentor now, but although in stuff other than MUN. But then yeah, it's just how you maintain relationships with your chair or with people, anything, in any case in MUN, that really help you in the future. You can always learn not only from the chairs, but also fellow delegates or just anyone you meet, not in MUN, but in anything or any event you join. Okay, Kak Dom, you might add to this.
Yeah. I think I don't have anything to add. So yeah, MC, you can take.
Okay, so that was the answer. I hope that answers your question. Thank you for both of the speakers for answering some of the questions from the audience to get to know more about MUN. But speaking about MUN, as Rafsi has stated before, there is no better way to learn it than to dive into an actual conference and experience yourself. Luckily, the next session, we will provide you some information regarding the upcoming MUN conference, which you should register very soon. Here we have none other than the Director General herself, Ms. Nurul Habaib or Lulu, will give you the explanations about Makassar MUN 2021. Now I'll give the floor to present.
Thank you. Hello. I'll start the screen sharing first. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. So good afternoon, everyone, and I wish you in a good condition. So today I am Nurul Habaib as your Director General for Makassar MUN 2021 that will be conducted in April 8 to 11, 2021. Makassar MUN is a part of the working program of UNHAS MUN community that have been conducted since 2011 till now. This is the very good opportunity for all students or even in varsity to join or to start their career in MUN. As we know that Makassar MUN is one of the biggest MUN conference in eastern part of Indonesia, and we are conducting it in the newest version of Makassar MUN, which is an online version of it. Further on, we provide you interesting councils and topics to discuss on, which is first is UNESCO, within the topic of embarking the development on the ethics of artificial intelligence. We provide you the second council, which is Crisis Committee, in the topic of resolving the conflict between East Germany and West Germany. The third council is UNICEF, within the topic of ensuring the continuity of children's education during COVID-19 pandemic. And the last but not the least is the UNODC Council within the topic of combating cyber terrorism. Here's a preview on why you should join Makassar MUN from the chairs from respective council.
Everyone, so my name is Kasugen Nurdin and I'm serving as the head chair of the Crisis Committee of Makassar Model United Nations 2021. This is actually going to be my fourth involvement in Makassar Model United Nations, so I cannot wait to experience myself in Maximum 2021, especially by joining the Crisis Committee. Why do you need to join Crisis Committee of Maximum 2021? Because the first one is that the procedure of the Crisis Committee is rather different than the other conventional MUN councils, because it's going to be fun and full of actions for sure. And the second one is that the matters that you will discuss is about the historical event of Berlin Wall falling between West Germany and East Germany. So with these two benefits that you will get, I will invite, and I really want to invite everyone here to join the Crisis Committee of Model United Nations of Makassar 2021, because you will learn more about the international relations stuff, and also you will know more about Model United Nations in a nutshell. So then again, I will wait for your involvement in Makassar Model United Nations 2021, especially for the Crisis Committee, and I will see you there.
Greetings, distinguished delegates, returning or new. My name is Davi Pandi, and I am currently serving as the co-chair for Makassar MUN 2021's Crisis Committee. And in this video, I will give you 5 reasons of why you should join that committee and MUN. The first reason is about MUN. It helps boost your soft skills, things like public speaking, eye contact, posture, confidence, and charisma that may seem small in detail right now, but will become very handy later on in life. The second reason is the committee itself, Crisis. Crisis favors the bold. It is for the adventurous. It takes the formula of MUN and mixes it in with role-playing and gives you something new, something enjoyable and fun in the online world. The The third reason is reliving history itself. Our topic covers the Western Median crisis that happened in 1999, and it's one of the biggest moments of 20th century history and the Cold War. And if the delegates want to take part as countries and relive history and also change it forever, then that is the place to go. The fourth reason is to connect. Many people from all over Indonesia and even the world will go into committee, will go into MUN, and this is a great place to connect and meet new people and different cultures. And the fifth reason is a simple reason. MUN is certainly enjoyable. There is every aspect of MUN gives us something new, and every aspect of MUN is good for everybody. And to that end, reasons of why you should join Crisis Committee in Makassar MUN 2021. Thank you.
Hello strangers, soon to be friends. My name is Difan and I'll be chairing the UNESCO Council in Makassar MUN 2021. I invite all of you to register and attend Makassar MUN 2021, especially in the UNESCO Council. Why is that so? Because first, we're going to be covering and debating about a very interesting topic, fresh from the oven, which is about the ethics of the AI, which you cannot find anywhere else. The second is because of the committee, the lovely and friendly committee that will help you from the beginning until the end, that will certainly make your stay and your experience enjoyable and fun. And then for the third, my partner, which is Mr. Arkana from Brawijaya University, and myself, we will guarantee our best services to the council, from the debate, the negotiations, the substance, anything that the delegates may need. And then lastly, because Makassar MUN is the biggest MUN in Eastern Indonesia, you can feel a different atmosphere, the different culture, the different background of the peoples, and this you can broaden your connections even more. So I hope to see you guys there, even though I'm only going to meet you in the Zoom link. I'm still looking forward. I will see you there soon enough. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Commendation. I'll be the head chair of the UNHAS in Makassar MUN 2021. So here are the 5 reasons on why you should join MUN as a delegate. First, the topic itself will be challenging, although you might think that it is familiar to you, but the reality is the contention of our debate would be different than the previous topic on this slide. Second, the UNHAS Council is your first council will address traditional security and also non-traditional security agenda at the same time. So we're not learning two things at the same time. Third, with the quality that we are aiming for in next month 2021, we should be doing all council because it will be quickly, substantive, and also exciting for you guys. And fourth, we, the chairs of UNHAS, will serve you with the best probability. And fifth, join now, seeing that this MUN is accessible for everyone. Thank you very much.
Greetings to everyone present over here. My name is Aditya Kiran and I shall be serving as the head chairperson of UNICEF at Makassar MUN 2021. Now the 5 reasons why the delegates must participate in UNICEF are as follows. Number 1, understanding what the UNICEF is about, the roles and the functions, as well as the jurisdiction at which UNICEF operates, and why UNICEF is considered as a pertinent body to preserve and protect children's rights in its entirety and impartial manner. Number 2, objective study as well as methodology for understanding the various ambiguity, problems, as well as the issues pertaining to children's rights and how they must be cleared or how there must be a reformation within the system such that children are protected in every manner possible, that is during peacetime, conflict time, or during any form of health crisis, specifically the COVID-19 pandemic. Now coming to the agenda that we have in our hand, that is establishing an education system for children during the COVID-19 pandemic, it creates an all the more fostered program for the delegates to understand various mechanisms to be adopted by various member states present within the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund for the welfare as well as the development of the society at large. So I believe that these points comprehensively and holistically adopts and clearly states on record why the delegates must participate within United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund and why is it of vital importance to assure this pertinent issue is resolved, reformed, as well as reiterated the principle of equality and non-discrimination at large. I'm looking forward to having all of you on board and have a great and fruitful discussion. Thank you, delegates.
So you have heard 5 reasons why you should join Makassar MUN from each chair from the respective council. Now we provide you a very interesting package and a very interesting offer for late phase registration. If you guys wanted to register as individual, we will charge you 80,000 rupiah for national delegate and $10 for international delegate. But we offer you an interesting package if you wish to register with a group of delegate. If your group delegate consists of 5 delegates, we will charge you with only 75,000 for national delegate and $9 for international delegate. If your group of delegate consists of 10 to more than 10 delegates, we will charge you with only 70,000 rupiah or $8 for international delegate. The lab phase registration will open from February 18th till March 18, 2021. And we wish to see you in April. If you have any inquiries, do not hesitate to contact us through our Instagram at Makassar MUN. Or if you wish to initiate any partnership, whether it is media partner or you are initiating to have a package registration, please do not hesitate to contact us through our WhatsApp. That is being said, thank you very much. I'll hand the screen back to the moderator.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So don't forget to register yourself in Makassar MUN 2021. Now, if you have any questions regarding MUN 2021, it is the time. Please just raise your hand or unmute yourself to speak. If there's any questions, you can just raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Going once, going twice, seeing none. So if you wanna ask questions later, you can approach our Director General, or you just head to our Instagram page, Makassar MUN. So now for the fun part, don't leave just yet, the audience. Before we conclude the MUN seminar, we have an interesting game to. Oh, I see somebody raised their hand. Would you like to ask questions? Just unmute yourself. For Cindy?
Hello,
You
hello.
may have the floor. Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me ask the question again. So, how can Makassar MUN combat the cyber terrorism? How it works?
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to ask that question. Okay, so when it comes to how to combat the cyber terrorism, I know that you're curious on how to combat it, which is why we are inviting you to join the UNODC Council in our Makassar MUN. I'm sure because your first question have triggered your curiosity on knowing how to combat on cyber terrorism, that we will entertain you with interesting delegates and interest, and also coming from various of countries and various insights, and also we will entertain you with a very expert chairs in its own respective topic. So if you wish to join us, then do not hesitate to contact us through our Instagram at Makassar MUN. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Now we'll just proceed to the next agenda, which is fun games, to add some spice and to refresh your memories about this seminar. Make sure to participate because the winner will be given prize at the end of the sessions. Please, the operator can start the games. We'll wait for a moment, please. Okay, so all of you can start joining the quiz by heading to joinmyquiz.com with the code 092932. Has anybody?
On the way joining.
Okay. We'll wait for you, yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, maybe we can just start the game. I hope everyone participate.
Tunggu, masih kuliah.
Let's go, guys. Participate. Seeing there's no participants yet. We'll wait for you. Okay, so maybe there is a technical issue. So before we start the game, we just want to check on you. Please send your favorite emoji through chat so we'll know that you are still in the room with us. What is your favorite emoji, guys? Just type on the chat box and we'll see you. Okay, so why are you so sad? Okay, so there are people joining already. 35 people. We still wait for more people to join. Okay, we will start at 1 minute. In 1 minute, we'll start. There's 45 people. No, 41. Sorry. Okay. So again, emoji. Okay, so we'll just start. I think we will start with 42 people. Okay, start the game. Wow, there's a lot of going on here. First rank, we have Musa and followed by Paulia and Anggun. Let's see. Bismillah menang. Still reading. Still reading, and second we have Makkunrai and oh, I see. Wolf dagger. Let's try to steal the spot. Okay, we're still going. And now Anggun is leading, and second is Bismillah. I hope you win. Terry. Wow, there's a lot of going on here. Okay, so is it over already? Oh no, it's is it still going? Oh, I think we've finished quiz. So the first winner we have Anggun from UNHAS, and followed by Jerry, and the third is Ramana. Okay, so how is the game, guys? Is it hard or gimana? Ada yang mau share nggak dari gamenya gimana? Ada nggak yang mau share? So I think it's, if you pay attention to the seminar, you will not find it hard. Oh, okay. So congratulations to the winners of the fun games. We only select 2 winners. The first one is Anggun from UNHAS, and second one is Cherry. You have won e-money for the first winner. Winner will receive 75K, and the second winner will receive 50K for the e-money. Please send your WhatsApp number in direct message to me for the collection of the prize. Congratulations to the winner. Cherry is actually Kak Dominique, so we'll. Okay, so
no need to give me the e-money, just give it to the third.
Okay.
I'm just playing around because I'm bored now, so I'm just joining.
Okay, so the second winner will give to Bismillah menang. Who is it? Bismillah menang. Jangan-jangan Rafsi ya?
Enggak. I didn't think we can join. Oh my lord.
Okay, so for the winner, please contact me in direct message your WhatsApp number so we can process the collection of the prize. Please, for Bismillah menang, prove yourself that you're the winner, because yeah, there's no name. Who is Bismillah menang? Okay, don't forget to screenshot it, guys. Okay, congratulations to the winners. So before we finally wrap up the first item of Cognition Supercharge, let's have a photo session for the documentations. All the audience may turn on your camera now as we proceed to the first session, which is for the speakers and the hosts. We'll invite Rafsi, Dominique, the Secretary General of UNHAS MUN, Presidents of FPCI Chapter UNHAS, to take a picture together. So while we proceed to the photo session, you all just can prepare by turning on your camera as we wait for you. So we'll have a photo session together. Okay, so we already have, okay. We'll wait for Fira, I think, to open the camera.
Fira kemana?
Fira, are you here with us?
Siapa?
Bu, foto bareng, Bu.
Ah.
Kameranya kayaknya nggak kelihatan ininya.
Lah, ini aku udah on cam.
Okay. You might want to restart your like this camera setting. Okay. Wait, we haven't seen you.
Really?
Belum.
Maybe I will rejoin in.
Ini udah. Udah. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry kakak. Okay.
Okay, so we'll the photo sessions first. Wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe one more with more, I don't know, yeah, gaya heboh. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we got that already. Okay, so we'll proceed to the second photo session, which is with all of the participants. Please turn on your camera. I see that there are a lot of people here not turning on their camera yet. So we'll wait for you. If you want to be in the photo, we will wait for you until in 1 minute. Itu Regina, Farah, Nafila itu bertiga rame banget.
Both of them are my friends, and they've been listening to the talk since it started.
Okay. So we'll proceed to the photo session. We have 4 slides, so please jangan gerak-gerak dulu ya. Okay, maybe we'll just start for the first slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, second slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I think there are only 2 slides with the. Okay, so thank you guys for participating in the photo session. So before we conclude this entire agenda of the MUN Seminar, we have an upcoming event from FPCI Chapter UNHAS. Maybe next slide, which is future prospect. We will be talking about mastering scholarships, with two our distinguished speakers on next Saturday, March 20. And also, for those of you who want to register, you can just head to our Instagram page, FPCI.UNHAS. And okay, I would like to send our gratitude to the speakers. One of the speakers, Rafsi and Kak Dominique, okay, so I'm so sorry, everyone. So there is another there is another product from us, which is we have an interesting merchandise from FPCI UNHAS. We sell t-shirts and tote bag with affordable price. So if you want to buy our products, just head to our Instagram page or on the chat box. We already provide you that information. Okay, so before we end this MUN seminar, now that we have reached the end, I would like to send our gratitude to the amazing speakers, both Rafsi and Kak Dominique, and for the insightful and valuable lessons that has been given to us, and who are willing to allocate their time to be the speakers of this seminar. Thank you so much for Rafsi and Kak Dominique. I hope we could stay connected, and I will see you on another time and occasion. Stay safe and healthy for both of you guys, and thank you for the participants who are also willing to allocate their time on weekend to attend this MUN seminar. I hope this bring you so much impactful and valuable insight to you guys. But don't forget to attend our public discussions, which will be taking place at 6 WIB or 7 WITA. But you may enter the room 30 minutes before with the same Zoom link. We'll be talking about the role of women in building the future with Kania as a speaker. And also, we would like to thank our community partners, 17 English Debating Society, Smada English Conversation Club, SMANSA English Conversation Club, EFC SMANSA Maros, Universitas Brawijaya MUN Club, Himpunan Hubungan Masyarakat Unpad, FPCI Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, FPCI UPN Veteran Jakarta, UNHAS Career Women, Makkunrai Project, FPCI Binus, and Universitas Gadjah Mada Asean Society for the contributions to these events. We are really looking forward to another collaborations in the future. So that was the end of the MUN seminar. Don't forget to fill in the feedback that is already, I believe, sent down below in the chat box. I think it's tinyurl.com/feedback MUN seminar, so you will attain the certificate later. So that was the end of the MUN seminar. Thank you for all the participation from the speakers and also the participants. We will see you on another occasion, and stay safe, everyone. See you on public discussions. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the community members.
Thank you,
Kak Rafsi, Kak Dom.
Thank you, Kak Dom.
Thank you so much, Kak Dom. Thank you for sparing your time with us.
Thank you, Kak.
Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to fill in the feedback form.